Once I was finished setting the blanket and baskets down, I was able to really take in the view. Wow. I'd never seen the ocean like this before. There was a pine tree, all by itself, standing just at the edge where the grass met the sand. Some of its roots found its way out of the sand, gnarling back into the ground again, where there was a nearly 2-foot divot between the grass and the beach. "You're so tenacious," I spoke to the tree, impressed at how it clung to its place so strongly. I stood behind the lone pine, within earshot, but out of sight like a good servant. They laughed and ate, and I happily waited on standby. I watched the waves crash wildly. The wind blew hard enough to cool me. I felt free. This was practically a day off. Jason and Elliot started a game of tag with Layla and Sarah again. They were finished eating, it seemed. Reed went directly to the waves and jumped in. He swam quite a distance out. The water must feel nice and cool. He looked happy. From where I stood, I could watch him without getting caught ogling. I could see his gentle amber eyes, not dark and scary like his father's. I wondered what would change when Reed became the pack alpha. I wondered if he would notice that I would be gone when he came down for early breakfasts. I wondered who he would take as his wife. I smiled at myself, trying to ignore the sadness that came over me. The pull to one's life mate was a strong one. Wolves were like that. Those who chose their mates mated for life. Loyalty and devotion were strong in their nature. There were a handful of wolves that remained free agents, and it was encouraged that young wolves take time to play. Reed wasn't like that. He was waiting to find the one. He would love her deeply until his dying breath. I didn't know why I knew this, but years of observation informed my opinion, I guess. Whoever he chose would be lucky. Or maybe the moon would choose. I had heard that moon-bound lovers were rare, but when the moon brought two souls together, it was powerful. If anyone deserved a moon-bound soulmate, it was Reed. If the moon chose his mate, maybe I could be happy for him. I'd be okay as long as the new Luna wasn't Layla. I couldn't see Reed choosing Layla for his Luna. Layla didn't seem like the type to settle down, and with her mean streak, I couldn't think of anyone that would be happy to be with her. Except Elliot. Maybe he was a masochist. I laughed, quietly. I scolded myself for thinking mean things. But Layla and Elliot had bullied me more than anyone else, and I never said these thoughts out loud, so I gave myself a pass. I leaned on the lone tree, letting the ocean breeze refresh me. I glanced towards Reed every now and again. A meow beside me caught me by surprise. "Oh, where have you been?" I reached out, intending to pet the old cat, but she sniffed and hopped just out of reach. It was strange. She had never done that, and the rejection resonated with my still all-too-fresh wound. "You too, eh? Why not?" "The pack rejects me. The moon rejects me." She narrowed her eyes at me. I was spiraling into a dark place. I shook my head and forced a smile. "It's still good to see you." The cat settled into the sand beside me. We both stared at the horizon for some time without making a sound. The wind changed. There was that scent again, like a fresh, cool waterfall. It cut through the briny smell of the ocean. The cat purred. If I could, I'd be purring too. I really liked that scent. I felt it then, as I did every time before a storm hit. The shift in the atmosphere. "A storm is coming," I mumbled. No one heard me, of course, splashing around and laughing. I couldn't bring myself to say it any louder, afraid that my disruption of their enjoyment would displease them. I calculated. We maybe had half an hour before we would see the clouds on the horizon, then 10 minutes before the lightning and rain would come crashing down on the beach. "You should find shelter." I looked down where the cat had been and found her inexplicably gone. Where did she go? I looked around and didn't even see paw prints in the sand to indicate the direction she had gone. If someone told me the cat teleported, I'd believe them. I started to pack the picnic up. Thankfully, there was no food left, so it was easy. I didn't care that I was hungry. I got the 2 baskets and the blanket to the car, but Layla had the keys in her clothes. I didn't dare rifle through that. There would be enough time to put the baskets into the car. They were ready to go. But again, I felt a change. The storm had picked up speed. Still nothing on the horizon. I walked to the beach, then back to the car, unsure of what to do. I turned to walk to the beach again, and I ran into Reed.
Whoa, hey.
He steadied me, holding my shoulders. "There's a storm coming," I blurted out, not realizing I was keeping eye contact with him. He sniffed the air. He looked at me, then walked upwind. I sniffed myself. Did I stink? I didn't think so.
There it is. Lightning.
And right on cue, there was a deep rumble in the distance. The horizon now had a thin line of dark clouds. "This is a pretty big storm. It'll be here in about 10 minutes, I told him. He looked back at me and stared. I stepped back and looked down.
I'll tell the others.
He walked away. Why was I speaking to him like we were friends? Looking into his face as if I was his equal? I was losing my mind. I would have to ask forgiveness later. It meant putting back some of the distance between us that had somehow shortened over the summer. But it was what was proper. I was a nobody, after all. Definitely a defective wolf if I kept forgetting my place in the hierarchy. The wind blew much stronger now, and there was another boom. Everyone grabbed their clothes and ran to the car. Layla dug for her keys, then stopped.
Oh no,
She looked around her as if looking for something.
I lost my goddess ring.
The ring given after the ceremony. It was an important symbol for she-wolves. "I will help look." I got down on my knees and started sifting through the sand. After a few minutes, I heard the engine turn. I looked up just as the jeep sped away. They had left me behind. I needed to find shelter, but there was nothing close. If I ran, maybe I would make it into the forest, but not before I'd be caught in the open. The storm was almost to the shore. Still, I had to find the ring before it got lost forever. One last-ditch effort. I sifted through the sand quickly. Big raindrops started to hit the ground at a diagonal. It slapped against my skin painfully. There was no sign of the ring anywhere. Damn it!
Layla was laughing as she hopped into the jeep and started the car. She peeled away and I looked back. "No Ari,"
Where's the girl?
Sarah asked.
Layla, you didn't.
Jason gave a mock gasp, then laughed. "Turn around, Layla," I said angrily.
Oh, come on, Reed. Where's your sense of fun?
There was a flash of lightning from the direction of the beach. Rumbling followed after 10 seconds. "Turn around,"
No, we'll get caught in the storm.
I don't think it's right to be leaving her out in that weather.
Sarah pointed out.
She's a creep. Who cares if that bitch gets rained on?
I had always been tolerant of them. Layla came from a rich family. They had money outside of the pack, and their oldest was married to an alpha of another pack in Ottawa. It was no wonder Layla was a power-hungry, entitled brat. I chose to be patient with how she behaved and had stayed away as much as I could until we both ended up in the elite group. What bothered me more was that Elliot changed when they started to date. Even so, he acted more like her lackey instead of her boyfriend. It was pitiful to watch. And Jason. I knew he came to us after running away from home. He was part of the trio because he and Elliot became best friends. I always wondered why he tolerated Layla's bullshit, though. Normally, I didn't care about their dynamic. In general, I felt sorry for their need to reach higher by pushing down others. Usually, they couldn't get a rise out of me. Except now. Knowing that Elliot was just saying these things to please his girlfriend and that Jason was laughing to keep in line with his group didn't stop my rage from climbing through the roof. My eyes glowed dangerously as I glared at Layla.
What is your problem?
She was now upset at my clear anger towards her, which made me even more angry. Words escaped me and all I could do was fume and wait for her to park. If I could wolf out and run back to Ari, I would. My muscles felt as if they would attempt shifting, regardless of the moon phase. I jumped out close to the kitchen and ran to the one car I knew always had keys, not even waiting for Layla to slow down.